A British man lowers his fork into a slice of brisket that glistens under the warm Texas light. The bark is dark as coffee, the smoke ring runs deep pink, and the meat itself trembles like it's about to fall apart before the tines even touch it. He takes the bite. His eyes go wide. For a long second, he says nothing. Then it comes, a groan of pure, involuntary surrender.
Oh my days! Oh my days! That is properly scrumptious.
That single "oh my days" captures something every European discovers the first time they taste real American barbecue. It's not just food, it's a revelation. Something they didn't know existed. Something they'll spend months, sometimes years, trying to chase back home. They fly back to London, to Stockholm, to Berlin, still tasting the post-oak smoke on their memory. And they tell themselves, I can do this. How hard can it be? A piece of meat, some wood, a fire. The ingredients are universal. The ambition is real, but the result, friend, spoiler, they can't do it. And what they learn in the attempt is nothing less than the difference between a meal and an entire civilization. Before our European can even think about recreating American barbecue, they first have to understand what they witnessed. And what they witnessed wasn't a cookout. It was a craft culture so deep it borders on religion. Imagine walking into a real Texas joint for the first time. Not a chain, not a food festival tent. A proper brick pit room where the walls are stained amber from decades of smoke. The air hits you before the menu does. It's thick with post-oak haze, sweet and sharp and animal. A perfume that clings to your clothes for days. Your eyes adjust to the dim light and you see the cutting board. A whole brisket the size of a briefcase. A beef rib like a caveman's club. Pink smoke rings you could frame and hang in a gallery.
Yo, this is looking 10 out of 10. What is this?
These are the beef back ribs. It's like perfect cooked. So they're not falling off the bone, you still got a bite on it. It's in between a steak.
The European stares at the spread and their internal calculator breaks. This isn't grilling, but the thing they do in the garden on a Sunday with sausages and a beer. Grilling is hot and fast, a sear, a sizzle, dinner in 20 minutes. American barbecue is low and slow, an act of patience that begins before sunrise and doesn't finish until the meat probes like warm butter, often 14 hours later. It's a relationship with fire, not a transaction. And the variety is dizzying. Brisket, beef cheeks, whole chicken legs marinated in jerk, bavette steak, each cut demanding its own temperature curve and its own relationship with the smoke. The European's internal monologue begins its dangerous little whisper. I've got a garden. I've got weekends. I can build something. I can learn this. Then they go home, and reality punches them in the face. Back on European soil, our ambitious visitor surveys the landscape and discovers something humbling. Europe has its own fire-cooking traditions, noble ones, ancient ones, traditions stitched into the national identity. But they're fundamentally different animals. In Texas, a pitmaster wakes at 3 a.m. to feed oak splits into an offset smoker the size of a small submarine, coaxing blue smoke that burns so clean you can't even see it, only taste it. In Sweden, the fire speaks a different language entirely.
One of the things I've observed about Sweden is the love of barbecuing and cooking over open flame. And that makes me feel right at home here. But as I've been here, I've also observed a culture and heritage that goes much farther back in recipes.
The Swedes love their open flame, and you have to respect that. It's primal, it's beautiful. The crackle of birch logs under a midnight sun, smoke curling into a sky that never quite goes dark. There's a heritage there of recipes and rituals passed down through generations, a culture of gathering around the fire that feels deeply human. But here's the distinction that breaks our Europeans' heart. This is open flame cooking, not offset smoking. The Swedish fire is a direct, radiant heat, perfect for grilling a fillet of salmon or charring sausages, but entirely wrong for the slow, indirect kiss of smoke that defines Texas barbecue. The hardware alone is a problem. You can't walk into a Swedish hardware store and buy an offset smoker. You can't find post oak. And even if you could, your neighbors would call the fire brigade the moment they saw smoke billowing from your garden at 4 in the morning. So the European adjusts their sights. They look further east toward the resourceful corners of the continent where people have been solving problems with scrap metal and determination for centuries. And that's where they find shashlik.
How Eastern Europeans make barbecue, or as they call it, shashlik. This grill was homemade by my girlfriend's dad out of pieces of scrap metal they had. They put seasoned pork on these long metal skewers. When the coals are white, you put the meat on top, like this. The bottoms of the skewers are twisted so that you can change the angle of the meat and cook on all sides. And voila!
Look at this beautiful, scrappy operation. A grill welded together from whatever bits of metal were lying around, crafted by a girlfriend's dad who probably couldn't read a blueprint but could build anything with his hands. The ritual is simple and almost poetic. Seasoned pork threaded onto long metal skewers, coals burned down to a ghostly white, meat lowered over the heat. And the skewers themselves, twisted at the bottom so you can flip the meat by changing the angle. A piece of DIY engineering so clever it makes you smile. When the pork comes off, it's smoky, it's juicy, it's a genuine 10 out of 10 for what it is. You can taste the pride, you can taste the tradition. But let's be honest with ourselves right now. Nobody, not this father-in-law, not the most dedicated shashlik master in the Caucasus, is smoking a full pack of brisket for 12 hours on a homemade grate over birch coals. It's not happening. Because the problem was never about skill. The problem is infrastructure. It's wood species. It's climate. It's culture. The European is starting to understand that American barbecue isn't a recipe you can photocopy and smuggle through customs. It's a whole ecosystem built around a set of conditions that simply don't exist on the other side of the Atlantic. And yet, there is one place, one glorious rule-breaking exception that proves just how impossible this whole enterprise really is.
The best barbecue in Europe, some are saying. Melter not playing fair. Literally, in a nutshell, flown one of the best pitmasters in the whole of Texas over, been shown the ropes, and are now Champions League quality. Let's start with this beef rib, where they could have used a spoon to slice this. Look how the knife just glides through. Textures wise, I'm talking butter. Pulled apart.
Melt in London, or wherever they've set up shop, are not playing fair, and they know it. They didn't try to reinvent the wheel. They didn't spend years perfecting brisket in a backyard shed. They did the one thing you can do when you're serious about American barbecue in Europe. They flew in one of the best pitmasters from Texas, had him show them the ropes, and now they're producing brisket that jiggles on the cutting board like it's laughing at gravity. The knife glides through beef rib as if the meat is apologizing for existing. The textures are butter. The flavors are sweet, smoky, peppery. A full sensory symphony that makes a European diner sit back and whisper nothing's making sense. And that's the twist, isn't it? The best barbecue in Europe exists precisely because they imported the thing that Europeans kept trying to replicate on their own. They brought over the human element. The pitmaster's hands, the pitmaster's instincts, the pitmaster's impossible-to-document relationship with fire. Even the wood had to be sourced, special ordered, prayed over. This isn't proof that American barbecue can be recreated in Europe. It's proof that you literally have to transplant a piece of America to even come close. So where does that leave our European friend? Standing in a garden in Surrey or a courtyard in Hamburg staring at a kettle grill that cost €80, a bag of supermarket charcoal, and a pork shoulder they've been marinating in something they saw on YouTube. They've learnt the hard way what every pitmaster in Lockhart could have told them on day one. Barbecue is not a cooking method. It's a place. It's the humidity in the air that keeps the bark from going bitter. It's the post oak forests of central Texas, a wood species that burns at exactly the right temperature and imparts a sweetness you can't fake with applewood. It's the generational knowledge. Pitmasters who learned from their fathers, who learned from their fathers, who built pits before there were blueprints. It's the expectation of a customer base that would riot if the brisket wasn't jiggly. It's the competition circuit, the Saturday morning ritual, the whole culture of tailgates and cook-offs that raise smoking meat to an art form. You can't pack that in your suitcase, you can bring home a bottle of rub, you can bookmark a dozen videos, you can even buy an offset smoker and have it shipped across the ocean at ruinous cost. But you cannot ship the context, you cannot import the humidity, you cannot recreate the ecosystem of expertise that surrounds every good plate of brisket in Texas like smoke around a pit room ceiling. The European who tries to make real American barbecue at home is attempting, in a very literal sense, to compress a continent's worth of conditions into their back garden. And that is a beautiful, doomed, heroic thing to attempt. Here's what our European visitors discovered, whether they walked into a Texas joint in Austin or stumbled across a London pop-up staffed by a transplanted pitmaster. American barbecue is the edible evidence of a culture that treats time as an ingredient. That's the thing Europe can't replicate. Not the meat, not the smoke, not even the skill. It's the willingness to let a fire burn for 14 hours because the result is worth the wait. In a continent where efficiency is a virtue and dinner is often a thing to be solved rather than savored, the sheer extravagance of American barbecue, the wasted time, the wasted wood, the beautiful, unnecessary excess of it all, hits like a challenge. Can you slow down enough to taste this? Can you care enough to get it right? Maybe that's the real gift America gave these visitors. Not a recipe, a permission slip, permission to be impractical, permission to fail, permission to feed a fire at 3 a.m., not because it's efficient, but because something transcendent is happening in that steel chamber. Something older than any cuisine, something that connects you to every human who ever coaxed flavor from flame. The European who tries to recreate American barbecue back home will fail, but in failing, they'll understand something they couldn't learn from a plate of perfect brisket in Texas. The distance between a dish and a dream is measured in more than miles. It's measured in oak trees, in humidity, in generations, in a whole way of living that America built without ever stopping to explain itself. And honestly, that's okay, because the brisket that started this whole journey and that first life-changing bite in a Texas pit room isn't diminished by its impossibility. If anything, it's elevated. It becomes a pilgrimage destination rather than a take-home souvenir. Our British friend who moaned, "Oh my days," into a forkful of moist brisket wasn't just tasting smoked beef. He was tasting a place. And places, unlike recipes, can't be packed into a carry-on. They stay where they are, waiting for you to come back. So here's my question for you. If you had to choose, if you had to bottle one single quality of American life and pour it straight into your country's bloodstream, what would it be? The patience of the pitmaster, the friendliness of the diner waitress, the size of the portions, the confidence to build something massive and let it cook for half a day just because the result will be glorious. Which American quality should we learn from first? I genuinely want to know. Share your answer in the comments below, because the conversations that happen there are honestly half the reason I make these videos. And while you're down there, hit subscribe to the channel. We're uncovering the America visitors never expected to love, one story at a time.